Hello, welcome to this taste challenge, late morning taste challenge. I know I'm wearing the same sweater. I wore it Sunday, but I didn't go anywhere except to church, and it didn't get dirty, and it certainly didn't get dirty at Aldi or sitting at this house all day. So I'm wearing it a second day, and then I'll wash it. Not that it'd be any dirt on it. So it's a very strange wintry day in Louisiana, a blizzard day. Maybe I could show you this on the camera. Let's see if I can show you outside. Nah, it's too much glare. It's a shame because you would see a bunch of snow coming down and piling up this high. First it was like an inch, and then it was this high and this high, and now it's this high. Yeah, I wish the glare wasn't so bad. I'd show you, but do I live in Wisconsin now? It's coming from the east, like at a 45-degree angle. Just yeah. When it's going to stop, I do not know. Let's check the weather here. The temperature right now, they're claiming. Now, I was going on the back porch, and the temperature wasn't as cool. They're saying 25 degrees. I got my water running out the faucet because it was starting to ice up. I don't want to go through another repair. Now they're saying a low of 18 tonight. They were saying 25, then they said 23, then they said 21, 18. I don't know. That doesn't sound right. Anyway, snow stretching from Georgia, south central Georgia, all the way into southeastern Texas, all along the Gulf of America. Oh man, central Louisiana and central Alabama down to the Gulf. Whoa, ooh, we don't usually get this. We don't get snow. We barely get cold in Louisiana, but we don't get snow. We got it today. I did 2 video reviews out in the snow, so you'll see those when they get posted. Burley Sullivan says, you. Hey, cheers back to you. I checked under the back porch. It was saying 29, 28, 29. Still bad, for us. We don't have really the ability to deal with it. I just cross-checked AccuWeather, Bing. They're saying 25. Okay. Yikes. Now, when I was walking out there, it didn't feel so cold. Didn't feel that cold. I was in a t-shirt. I got a t-shirt, my bare skin, and a t-shirt, and I had a sweatshirt with different caps, and I was doing reviews of pre-mixed, ready-to-drink plastic bottle cocktail, and then I did a revisit of Founders double oaked, KBS double oaked, and it was cold. Obviously, my hands were shaking, but it didn't feel that cold. And I went walking a mile and a half, and it wasn't so bad. But I'm not a pipe, you know what I mean? I'm not a water pipe that can freeze up, so that's scary. So here we go. We have 2. I have to update this a little bit. 2 rye whiskeys, but they're not both 90 proof. They're both rye whiskeys, but the one I have is very simple. One of the ones I have is a simplistic. Although I don't say, let's see, 80. Let's go with the percentage. 40% alcohol, age 4 years, Indiana rye whiskey, bottled in Iowa. 45% alcohol. Okay, yeah, because some rye whiskeys are just 80%. And I don't want to impugn them and say like, oh, if you're not 90, if you're, I mean 40%. I don't want to say if you're not 45%, you're not a true rye. That would be ridiculous. Here's Templeton. Thank you, David. Nice Christmas gift. Templeton Rye. Introduced in 2005. And I know the website might tell you that they've been making whiskey since 1501 or whatever. But really, it's not old. It's not old. A wooden cap with a neoprene or synthetic rubber stopper. It's bottled in Iowa. It's true. It is bottled in Iowa. It's always been bottled in Iowa, but it's actually distilled at Midwest Grain Products, MGP of Indiana. So it's an Indiana whiskey. It is aged 4 years, age statement. I think there was a lawsuit. Oh, neoprene cap, synthetic rubber, like I said earlier. I think there was a lawsuit, I remember, a few years ago where some people said they got tricked. I doubt that. They probably knew what they were doing because they probably wouldn't have done the lawsuit if they hadn't known. But they're claiming, oh, I bought this and it said bottled in Iowa, and I found out later it was distilled in Indiana and I got damaged. You know, think about that. I got damaged. I paid $23 for this. You tricked me. Yeah, but you really got to file a lawsuit. Couldn't you just like not buy it again? It's $23. Well, what did you think, interviewer? What did you think about the whiskey? Oh, it was pretty good. I enjoyed the flavor. Had a lot of good characteristics. A rye note, the spicy rye note. I liked the way the body was medium, finishing pretty dry. Had a really good, approachable character to it. Why'd you file a lawsuit? Oh, well, I found out it was distilled in Iowa and not in Indiana. I mean, in Indiana and not in Iowa. And I was so offended. I was so hurt. I needed, $10 million to make it right. Really? And so then after that, Templeton said, okay, all right. It's an Indiana whiskey on an Indiana night, and it's bottled in Iowa. So, I mean, in the regular world, you know, the world that's not insane, you wouldn't file a lawsuit. You would just say, I didn't read the label carefully. I guess I should have paid attention a little bit better. Oh, but apparently with the website, there was an issue where they weren't putting it on the label, actually. So, I mean, that would be legitimate. They were like making it seem that it was from Iowa when it was actually distilled in Indiana. Okay, I can go along with that. If you're trying to induce the purchaser, the consumer, to think that it's from Iowa when it in fact is not. Yeah, I can't defend that. But there's nothing on this bottle that would indicate that or be considered deceptive, because it says small town strong spirit. That's obviously marketing. Beautiful label though, embossed. I mean, it's a fabulous bottle. I would prefer if it was brown than clear, but it says produced and bottled by Templeton Rye Spirits, Templeton, Iowa, distilled in Indiana. Well, it ain't produced by you. It's produced by Midwest Grain Products, also known as the former Seagram's Distillery since built in 1847, with United States and imported grains, imported packaging. Even the packaging's imported. Well, Iowa. Yeah, it's not really from Iowa. All right. Age 4 years. And if you try to claim I'm against Iowa, that's a lie, because I've been to Iowa, and more than once, more than twice, more than probably 4 or 5 times, and I liked it. It was fine. It reminded me of corn. I like Iowa. I do like Iowa. For the for the most part. You say, "Whoa, I'm gonna pin you down right now. Iowa or Iowa State?" I'm going with the Cyclones. I hate to break your heart. All right. Anyway, so it's an Indiana whiskey introduced in 2005, 20 years ago, age 4 years. Now, if you look at the website, they got many more variants today, much longer aged, actually. But hey, I'm glad to get the introductory level. Doesn't give the percentage, so we know it's at least 51% rye, but we don't know the rest. Doesn't Now pay attention. Does not claim to be straight rye. And as we looked at this morning at dawn, when the snow was coming down, still coming down like mad. Remember this morning, we looked at the regulations, and what did they say? Rye whiskey may have flavoring added, and it may have coloring added. It's allowed, not required, obviously, but it's allowed. So, straight rye, no way. A straight rye whiskey cannot have flavoring or coloring added. This does not claim to be straight rye. Now here's Johnnie Walker. Doesn't claim to be a rye whiskey at all. It just is a high rye blended Scotch whiskey. Scotch whiskey is not allowed to have flavoring added. You can look at the UK.gov regulations. It'll tell you that it's allowed to have coloring added, though. Coloring, which is sorry. For some reason I'm choking. Caramel. Now, some people say, caramel, that's so dangerous. Do you know what that could do to your health? And then you think about, what's caramel? Oh, it's table sugar. Like you buy sugar at the store in a bag, and you brown it in a pan and make it turn brown, tan. And you think to yourself, how's that dangerous? It's sugar in a pan that you put on some heat and you turn it brown. What are you, crazy? You think I'm crazy? Think I'm a dupe? All right. Have you been to Cuba? No. No, I'm sorry, Herbie. I have not. Good morning, Ronald, says Daryl. Good morning to you. Late morning. Brother Sullivan says, you. Cheers back to you. Oh, the snow. Oh, the snow. Two thumbs down on that. All right. Appearance, yeah, they're pretty much the same. Amber. Now, when I did the Tennessee Rye from Jack Daniels and the Kentucky Prohibition Rye from Jim Beam, they were dark. They were copper, not amber. So these will be a situation. These will be put together in a situation where I won't have to like close my eyes and that. All right, so we got Indiana versus Scotland. Indiana is a state. But when did it become a state? 1811, I think. 1811. Scotland, a country of the United Kingdom, similar to what we would call a state, but a country. They call it a country. But like they have their own parliament, but it's like a state legislature. They don't have the total authority. The total authority is from the king and the parliament over there in London. They became a British country in 1707 with the Act of Union, where they united the two countries. But they already had the same king since 1603, right? When Queen Elizabeth died, and then her first cousin once removed. Her first cousin was Mary, Queen of Scots, but she had a son who was King James the Sixth, King of Scotland, Stuart, House of Stuart, right? But then he was Queen Elizabeth's first cousin once removed. That means younger because of a next generation. And they asked him, they said, would you like to be the King of England as well as the King of Scotland? He said, well, if you insist, I'll go ahead and rule two countries in one at one time. And he became King James the First of England. He was the sixth James of Scotland, but he was the first James of England. So he was two numbers at once. James the Sixth of Scotland, James the First of England. Yes. And there you go on that. But then they were still two separate countries until they united them, the Act of Union. They created Great Britain, the Kingdom of Great Britain. I believe it was 1707, and the Parliament was in London. Okay, so this is produced under a royal warrant. A royal warrant. It says it on the bottle. There it is. If you think I'm lying. Oh, it focused. Wow, once in a lifetime. Produced under a royal warrant for King Charles III as an official whiskey of the royal household of England, Scotland, the Isle of Man, Jersey, Guernsey Island, Ascension Island, St. Helena, St. Kitts and Nevis, Grenada, Jamaica, the Bahamas, Canada, Australia, the British Indian Ocean Territory, and all these other realms and dominions around the world. Do they actually drink this at the Royal Palace? I don't know about that. They might. I don't know what they drink. I never got invited. But it's a program that they sign up for, and every 5 years they have to renew it. And now, does Iowa's governor have an official whiskey of Iowa? I don't know, but they could do that. They could have the governor's state warrant for whiskey. They could pass it in the legislature. These whiskeys are considered official whiskeys of the governor's mansion weekly banquets. And you would have to comply to certain quality control standards, which maybe they do. They have a state liquor store. You can't buy liquor in Iowa unless you go to the government liquor store. So why not have a government recognition thing? Good morning, Ronald. Snowflake, says Daryl. Yes, good morning to you. And I'm looking at the snow coming down heavy. I don't live in Louisiana. I live in Green Bay, Wisconsin. Okay, I mixed them up very well. And as you notice, the appearance was both amber gold, so that the appearance won't matter. And why did I do 3 Indiana whiskeys in a row? Well, because I wanted to do all the Indiana whiskeys that I think I have. I might have overlooked something, but I think I have them all. I did the Bolete. I did the George Dickel, and now I'm doing Templeton. They come from the same distillery. Now, is this one 95% rye like the other two? Yeah, it's not really talking about that. In fact, it doesn't talk about it at all. So it could be anything as long as it's at least 51% rye. Now, we know that's the regulation. It's got to be at least 51% rye. The other 49% doesn't matter. Doesn't claim to be straight rye, which means it may have coloring added and it might have flavoring added. This I do not know. In Colorado, when it's 0 degrees outside, we just wear hoodies, shorts, and tennis shoes, says Tom. I know. When it's 32 degrees in Louisiana, we have a state of emergency and people become suicidal, depressed, insane, mad, and never come back. And if this snow keeps coming down at this rate, I might be there. I might be there tonight at 6 o'clock. I know what I'll do to keep sane. I'll just do it every top of the hour. So we're at top at 11 Central Time. At noon, I'll do another taste challenge. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. By the time 6 o'clock runs around, people will be like, "Oh, I'm unsubscribing to that channel. That guy's going mad." Well, the doctor told me, he said, "Ronald, you're so sane that you're insane." Am I going outside and building a snowman? No. Got to do it. Those children are running around screaming. They're going to build snowmen. They're running, or snow women, or non-binary snow them and theys. No, I'm not gonna say all that. I apologize, because then I'm gonna go turn on a bunch of Queen albums and I'll be listening to. I am too wrong, but I'm right. I'm so wrong, I'm right. The rise I've tasted. Oh, the rise. You put rise like rise up, but you meant rise. I have a floral taste and a mothball taste. Am I just drinking bad rye? No, they do have a mentholated flavor. So mothball, yeah, mothball has like that, whatever that is, antihistamine thing going on. That like Vicks formula, that Vicks salve, Vicks Vapor Rub. Yeah, yeah. So you're not off track on that. Just drive slow. Cars slide through stop signs. Nobody's driving in Louisiana today. I mean, obviously some will, but they're telling everybody, stay off the road, stay off the road, off the road. Most of the businesses are closed today. Not all. Not Waffle House. Waffle House doesn't close even if there's a nuclear holocaust. They'd be like, it's radiated, but it's fresh. I mean, they had a Waffle House by Chernobyl when it blew up. They were still serving. Kept the lunch special too. It's amazing. Um, with drive-through, from what I've heard. Okay, so aroma. Talking about Waffle House Ukraine, their subsidiary, as we're all well aware of. But their pancakes are served with potato vodka. If I'm not wrong, I think I'm right about that. Yeah, the aroma here is not that different one from the other. This one might have a little more pronounced mentholated rye grain thing going on, but it's not major. It's not like a profound thing. It's not really even something to think much about, but it's there. All right, so taste time. Cheers. And I won't wear this sweater again until at least December of 2025 this year. So on Liberation Day 2025, I did some videos. Those are already posted. Obviously, they were live. And now here we are on the day after Liberation Day. Ukrainian Waffle House will deliver for free with a drone. I did read that in the Weekly World News. And I think if you order from them through their app, you get a free Bat Boy, one of the little bobbleheads, a Bat Boy bobblehead. I've read that. Well, it was the ad in the Weekly World News. So don't call me crazy. It just tastes like all the rest I've been looking at for the last week. It tastes like rye. It tastes like mint. It tastes like menthol. It tastes like juicy fruit gum. No, no. Wrigley spearmint gum. I think more like Wrigley spearmint or wintergreen. There's corn. I think they're adding corn. I think corn is part of it. I don't know that. It's 51% rye. It has to be rye whiskey, but the other 49% they could play around. They could add corn, they could add wheat, they could add barley. So it tastes like an amalgamation of those. You say you mean it's like Special K. It's a multigrain. It's kind of like Special K for whiskey. Yeah. Now you see over here. Now it's funny, you got to be careful because the Johnnie Walker is 90 proof and the Templeton is only 80 proof. You say 80, that's the minimum. I know it is. So you would think that it would be really clearly shown when you taste them, but it's not exactly clearly shown. All right. But yeah, I know I'm right because Johnnie Walker has that demure flavor that's like really low profile. Like you get the minty rye, but then there's the mild wheat and the mild malted barley. Everything is mild. It's so measured. Does that make it a better product? I don't know about making it better. It certainly doesn't make it worse. It's very well fine-tuned. It's like Johnnie Walker over there in Scotland at their laboratory where they do all the blending. They're just fine-tuning it to the, not the 10th degree, like the 100th, like this out of a 100, like that's how they're tweaking it, like this little gauge, like eek, like got it just right. Which might be why they're the number one selling whiskey, Scotch whiskey in the world. Actually, I think they're the number one selling whiskey in the world of any type. But they're definitely the number one selling Scotch whiskey, Johnnie Walker. And of course, Crown Royal is the number one selling Canadian whiskey. But there's really no competition on that. And Jack Daniel's number one selling American whiskey, and Jim Beam right up behind it. So those are your top four. I mean, there's no, and you say, what about Ireland? What about Ireland? Okay, Jameson. Okay, there's your top five. Am I wrong? No, I'm not wrong. I'm not wrong. Now I don't know the exact numbers, but I'm pretty sure it's Johnnie Walker number one. I'm talking about of any whiskey. Crown Royal number two. Jack Daniel's number three. Jim Beam number four, and James, of all the world of all the whiskey brands in the whole wide world, those are the top five. Are they macros? Well, yeah, since they're produced all over the world. I mean, sold all over the world, and in some cases subcontracted to distillers. But that doesn't make them bad because a lot of people drink it. It doesn't make it bad. Now, some of the people in the whiskey snob, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to say whiskey snob. I meant the whiskey serious review world. That's what I obviously meant to say. They would say, oh, Crown Royal is not. It's not an accepted whiskey. Firstly, it's blended. They take 50 different whiskeys and blend them together. I only drink single malt. And that's fine if you want to do that, but that's really not everybody. That's actually not most people, but I understand if you're in your proud tower, elevated above humanity, looking down like an electric eye, like you're up here in space, looking down on you. Your lasers trace everything you do, but I mean, we all have different ways of looking at things. Some are valid, others are invalid. Does your top 5 sellers include cases sold or dollar volume of the? I think it's cases sold, just like the total thing, money, volume, everything, just the total world championship whiskeys all around. Like, Johnnie Walker is just like the king. I don't care if you look at volume, cases sold, money, what they make, and then how do you convert that? And you're like, Australian dollars not the same as British and not the same as US. But you take all those things into account. There's really no argument about that. Johnnie Walker is huge. Is it the best? Well, then that would be obviously up to the drinker, the consumer, the purchaser. I mean, but it's obviously clearly not the worst. Wouldn't be number one. Is it my favorite? No. Is it very well made? Certainly. It's exceptionally well made, in my opinion. He Sells Resell says, hashtag laughing my anatomy off. All right. Now you might say you're just dodging. You're trying to use straw man arguments to redirect the people's viewership away from the fact that you have not declared which is which. You could make that assertion because I have not declared which is which, and I will say that these are they're closer than you would at first believe. JP saw them several times. Now I'm not trying to redirect. I'm just thinking about stuff, but yeah, these are close. These are not wildly different. And they don't have the same roots in history, but there is some connection between these two in history. If you want to really go back to it, there is some connection. It's probably tenuous, but there is some connection. Oh my Lord. Oh, I'm sorry. I was muted because of the phone call. All right. So what I said over here was, you saw I did that. And I was like, I'm not going to say anything. I'm thinking about it. So over here, I think I have it. I'm sorry about the muted. People call me, I never call anybody. I really never call anybody. People call me all the time. Like Ozzy Osbourne said, people say I'm crazy, but I'm in demand, So, I mean, but I think what sets these apart is not really the flavor. It's not really the flavor. It's the proof, which is not that big of a difference. But so this is 80 proof. This is 90 proof. So in other words, 40% alcohol, 45% alcohol. So that's what sets them apart. The flavor, doesn't seem to make much of a difference. I know they're not the same, but I'm just going by what I'm tasting. The overall flavor, aroma, body, finish, it's very similar. So you say, but that's from Iowa, that's from Scotland. I know. But overall, not that different. You insulted him a little bit. You were a little bit out of order yourself. But yeah, so I think this is the Templeton. Why? Because it seems to have a lower proof. It seems to be lower alcohol. That's really the only thing I'm going with. If that's a cheat sheet, I'm going to use it because it's there. I'm not cheating. I'm not using like surreptitious clues. So Templeton Rye, I like it. I would buy it. I would recommend it. 80 proof is enough for me. Other people would say, no, no, it's got to be 90 at least. I get that. Man, I feel like Captain Kirk. I'm sorry, I feel like Admiral Kirk in Wrath of Khan. Remember, he looked at that screen and he was like, Khan. I feel like Khan just contacted me. He's about to make a counter offer. No, I'm not kidding. This is the Johnnie Walker. Oh, Lord. This is the second loss I've had. Well, I guess it was bound to happen. Of course, I wish it wouldn't not have happened, but are you going to tell me this is the Templeton Rye? Well, just goes to show you, I cannot explain it. I cannot believe it. I literally cannot believe this. I cannot understand how this could happen. Because I'm thinking the whole time, oh yeah, that's Templeton. It's kind of like low profile, kind of. I didn't want to say bland because it's not really bland, but it's like demure or something, whatever, like covert in its flavor. And then here's this one, a little bit more substance to it, a little bit more body, which I'm thinking 45% rather than 40. And here I'm looking at the label. I'm like, is this a dream? And I mean, I was cold last night. I was bundled up in the bed and I'm dreaming, but then you wake up and you're like, oh, that's a dream. I didn't really do that. But now I know this is no dream. And I'm like, well, I wish I had words. I wish I could explain it, but I can't explain it. I mean, it's so mind-boggling, I can make excuses like, oh, it's the cold, it's the snow. We're not used to blizzards. I can't believe it. But that would be phony, It really wouldn't not be genuine. It's just I could not tell them apart. Oh, it's just all right. Well, we got to get back on our feet. We got to trudge ahead, try to do the best and be like that song, I Will Survive. You just got to keep churning along, So, but I never would have dreamed that Indiana bottle in Iowa, Indiana whiskey would do this. I just could not believe it. Still don't believe it. But I know I was careful when I pour. I should delete the video, but that would undermine my whole channel. I got to leave it. Still snowing. So I guess I got to just climb out of it. I have to come back with Kentucky rye. I'm going to go back across the river, south of the river, go back down, not down the river, but south of the river, because down the river would bring you to New Orleans, where they do make rye whiskey, I might add. But we'll cross the river, go back to Kentucky, to Claremont and Frankfort, Kentucky, James B. Beam Distilling. And I've got 3 old overhauled ryes. 3. I got the 80 proof. I got the 86 proof 3-year age. And I've got the 86 proof 4-year age. Now, I cannot believe, I cannot imagine, I cannot conceptualize that I would get those wrong against this Scotch rye whiskey. I can't believe it, but I have to at least entertain the idea that this could happen, because now the way I feel after today, I'm so confused now. I don't even know where to I, I, it's like you like I don't even. All right, let's look at the comments. Something's happened with the comments. I'm hitting the comments. They're saying channel activity, go to channel, pin message, report, remove. Why would I want to remove the comments? What is up? Okay, I'm not going to be able to show that. There's something wrong with. All right, that's me. I wonder what that Weller 107 proof bottled 1977 tastes like. I'll never know, but well, I'll never know either. I will get it to buy something interesting. No, I wouldn't buy Weller for $2,000. I wouldn't buy it for $200. What is your record on picking blind whiskey? Oh, I would never know that, Tom, because it must be 1,000 videos. Well, at least 100. 100 compared to 1,000, right? But I mean, it's a lot. And I guess the average is good, but it's not great. I'm not going to pretend like it's like fantastic. I don't think my success rate is that great. It's okay. I would call it probably tolerable. I don't think it's because I'm doing that bad of a job at it. Although it could be that. I think it's really that these products are not that dissimilar. They're not that different one from another. Now we watch the videos, we say, oh, they're so different. Oh, they're so different. They're so very different. But then when you do the blind taste test, you're like, well, if they're different, why they don't taste different? So I'm not doing that as like some constructed defense, like, oh, let me think of something so I don't look bad. I'm just trying to think about it like, I think that's really the reason. But I would say my average is not that good. It's not really that good. But now, are there other video reviewers that have a much better average? There might be, but I'm not aware of them. I don't see anybody doing blind taste tests too much. So, there are some people that do it. There are people that do it. Do they score better than me? Not really. It's a real problem. When you do blind, it kind of like smashes the whole perception of like, this is great, that's medium, that's not that great. So if you like buying whiskey, don't do a blind taste test because it'll destroy your whole, constructed reality. You know what I mean? Your paradigm. It'll destroy your paradigm. I wonder. Oh yeah, I don't know the record. Yeah, right. I can't explain the who. Right, I can't explain. Wick Sound says, I am selling the old Weller 7-year at auction. Well, I hope you make a lot of money. I'm not into selling whiskey. I'm not into buying whiskey, except for, when I go to Walmart. But, yeah, I hope you make a bundle. I hope people pay a lot And I hope that you didn't pay a lot. But to get into whiskey buying and selling and flipping whiskey, no, I would never do that. That's not my game. I would never do it. I would never do it. But not to castigate people that do it. I'm a free enterprise guy. I cannot say, oh, you shouldn't flip whiskey. No, I'm not saying that. If you can flip it, if you could buy a $20 bottle of whiskey, you could flip it for $2,200. Do it. If you could flip it for $200, $200.20, do it. I would not have any issue with that. I'm saying that's not my interest area. But yeah, go ahead, make the profit. Because like Randy Newman said in 1988, it's the money that matters in the USA